While the people of Columbus have been quick to embrace the food truck culture, the city has reacted more slowly. There's been a great deal of confusion over what regulations apply to food trucks and where to find those rules.
So there's definitely some things that the city can do to make it easier for mobiles to operate. There's really no go-to spot where you know what's expected of you when you open a mobile business. You know, like we opened a few months ago and I searched. I mean, I left a financial job where I focused on compliance, so I wanted to do everything as by the book as possible. And what I found was there was really no definitive, this is what's expected. I mean, other than having a 3-compartment sink and hot water, it was like the rest is kind of fair game.
And just now hearing about new rules that are being put in without legislation, which is very frustrating, and no communication from the city to tell us that there's even new regulations, if they do exist.
One of the biggest arguments between the city and food truck owners is over regulations that determine where the trucks can set up.
They recently changed the laws on vendor's license effective August that we cannot sell from the street, from a bagged meter, or anywhere. So we are basically legally restricted to private property now. And this was changed with no input from us, very little oversight, and basically no notification.
Because you're not allowed to sell from the street in the city of Columbus. No ifs, ands, buts about it. You're not allowed to sell from the street. And that's the biggest issue with the food trucks is where do you put them to where they're not hurting another restaurant? You're not parking it in front of somebody's business. We also can't allow them just to park at a meter and sell from a metered spot. Our commercial sales code doesn't allow that. Our city code doesn't allow for that. So that's another issue, and we know that they're doing that.
I'd like to see public safety be a little bit more on our side as far as where we can park to set up as vendors, and being a little bit more clear as to if you need just a peddler's license, if you need a peddler's and promoter's license, what exactly is the difference between those two items?
The conflict over licensing is an excellent example of lack of communication between food trucks and the city. The city recently updated its regulations concerning commercial sales licenses, formerly known as peddler's licenses, and the vendors are viewing this as a whole new set of regulations.
As of the process of getting a peddler's license, we're required to undergo criminal background checks. That puts the cost of a peddler's license at about $100. Peddler's and promoter's license is about another $100 on top of that. So if I have to get a $100 background check and permit for every single person that works for me from my window, it's very expensive, especially for a small business like myself. From what I understood, peddlers and promoters was supposed to cover anybody in my employ, but we are hearing some conflicting things about that.
So I think part of the issue is they may not have realized that they needed the commercial sales license. But yes, these people all do have to be licensed because they do go through background checks. It truly is a public safety issue. We just need to make sure that these people are going through a vetted process, so that's why they're required to get that commercial sales license. And especially like when you look at door-to-door sales, which is a huge part of the commercial sales licenses, we're focusing on those folks going door-to-door. The last thing you want knocking on your door is somebody who just got out of prison for murder or rape.
Ms. Ford's comments illustrate the problems food truck owners have with the current regulations. Rules developed for other industries are being applied to mobile vendors. To address these shortcomings, the City of Columbus is attempting to develop a comprehensive set of rules and regulations that will apply to all mobile businesses.
There's a lot of work to be done on that side. Cleveland did a great job of it very quickly. I'd like to think that Columbus is progressive enough and more in tune with the populace that we can get this done without having to have a long drawn-out process.
You know, we need to make sure that we have our grounds covered, but we also want to talk to them and get their input because we want to make sure that we're not so heavily regulating them that we're killing their industry. Once we get a really good draft code together, we'll pull them in at that point and talk to them about it. God knows how long it'll take to get everybody's input, get it together, get it through legal. I think there'll be a really big push after the first of the year to really buckle down and get this stuff done.